Hello. Time for Zecher L'maaseh Bereshis, covered Shabbos. Today we're going to do an interesting animal called the Gila monster. Now it's spelled G-I-L-A, so you would think you would pronounce it Gila monster, but it's a Spanish word and they don't pronounce the G. It's called a Gila monster. And it's named that it lives in Arizona and some other places. So in Arizona there is a place called the Gila Basin. It's like a desert area over there. They also live in parts of California, Nevada, Utah, and New Mexico, which also have desert areas. Now this is the biggest lizard that lives in America. Now when you come to Florida, so you see by the canals, you see even bigger lizards called iguanas. But iguanas are not American lizards. They're not native to America. They were imported from South America, and they've taken over the whole place. And they get up to 3 feet long. The Gila monster only gets up to a little bit less than 2 feet long, but a heavy body though. Now, what's so interesting about the Gila monster is that he's poisonous. There are only 2 poisonous lizards out of over 3,000 lizards in the world, and this is one of them. And the other one is a closely related lizard called the beaded lizard, which lives in Central America. Now, the Gila monster moves very slowly, except when they see something to eat. Then they move very quickly with their powerful legs. They don't eat that often, though. They're eating eggs, birds' eggs, other reptiles, and they're eating mice and rats. And they track them down partly by smell. They have a special, when they stick their tongue out, as you saw, their forked tongue, so they can smell and taste sort of the particles in the air. And they stick their tongue back into their mouth, and on the upper part of their mouth, the roof of their mouth, there's some grooves. It's called a Jacobson's organ. And when they stick their forked tongue into those grooves, it picks up the smell of whatever they're smelling, or sort of. And that helps them find food to eat. They also can climb trees and cacti, in order to look for birds' eggs. Now, its sense of smell is so good that they can dig up chicken eggs half a foot under the ground by smelling them. Now, in the wild, they only eat 5 to 10 times a year, and when it does eat, it eats as much as it can. It eats up to about a third of its own body weight. So that's what they do, and they store fat in their tail, and that helps them in the times when they don't have what to eat. Now, sometimes they go many months without eating anything at all, and then their tail shrinks. The fat that's in the tail sustains them, but it shrinks. The whole body shrinks. They don't look like much. They look like not much more than a skeleton and some skin over it. This is better. These are not such big pictures. Now you're probably wondering why Hashem gave this Gila monster such colorful skin, which looks like beads actually. And well, the reason is because it is poisonous. So it's a warning color. It's warning colors for the enemies, the predators, to just leave them alone. It doesn't seem like the poison, that Hashem gave them the poison in order to kill their prey, because their prey is pretty small, and they probably can kill it without poisoning it. But they do they need the poison to help protect them from their predators that would threaten them, like coyotes and bobcats and hawks. So Hashem gave them very colorful skin as a warning for the predators to just leave them alone. Now they mostly are active at night, and in the heat of the day they usually stay buried in the sand or under bushes or something, and that's what they do. And also they spend a lot of their time digging through burrows of rodents, looking for the rodents to eat. And they hibernate between November and January or February. If they feel threatened, they open their mouths and they begin to hiss. And if they bite, they have a very strong bite, and they don't let go. It's like a vice, and they just hold on, and they just keep on putting more poison into the victim. Now, most times when people get bitten, they do not die because they don't have that much poison. Their poison is strong; it's as strong as a Western diamondback rattlesnake, but they don't. But the rattlesnake has much more poison that it injects. The Gila monster injects less. They did a study way back in '56. There were 34 people that got bitten from Gila monsters in America, and only 8 of them died. And the ones that died were very poor health to begin with, or they were drunk. So people don't die so fast from being bitten by a Gila monster. But on the other hand, it's no fun. A person certainly wouldn't want to get bitten by one because it is excruciating pain, swelling, and weakness associated with a very rapid drop in blood pressure. Now, the most interesting thing about the Gila monster is that the scientists discovered that they can make a medicine out of it that would help people. People that have type 2 diabetes, that means when you get diabetes when you're older, like in your 40s or your 50s, like my father had, and my father's mother, and my father's uncle. So, for people who have diabetes, and diabetes 1 is people that have it when they're born or they're young children already. So, about 15 years ago, the U.S. FDA approved a drug called exenatide, which is actually marketed with the name Byetta, B-Y-E-T-T-A, and for the management of type 2 diabetes. It's a synthetic protein derived from the Gila monster's saliva. The lizard protein is about 50% identical to a human hormone released from the human digestive tract that helps to regulate insulin and glucagon, which are sugars of the body. The lizard protein, though, remains effective much longer than the human hormone, helping diabetics to keep their blood sugar levels under control. And what else it does is it slows the emptying of the stomach, so therefore it causes the person, the diabetic, to have less appetite, which helps them to lose weight, which always helps a diabetic. Now, there is one other lizard in the entire world besides the Gila monster that's poisonous. It lives in Central America. It looks very similar to the Gila monster, but it's a little bit longer. It gets as long as 32 inches, and the Gila monster only gets to about 22, 23 inches. And it has longer legs and longer neck and longer tail. And it has a little bit different coloring also, but the bottom picture here is the beaded lizard. That's the only other poisonous lizard that Hashem made in the world. And that is our story of the Gila monster. Good Shabbos. Thank you, Bubby.